Hi guys! Today I wanted to get something off of my chest. And that thing is, Thor's my favorite Disney princess. Now I'm not talking about the Disney princess lineup, because that is the most elite group that anyone could ever strive for. I'm talking more about the anybody can be a princess if they try hard enough. But now that we're on the subject of the Disney princess lineup, let's talk about that for a little bit. Now, in certain circles, you hear people talk extremely down about some of the princesses. And me personally, I don't think that any of them are necessarily bad role models. I think that a lot of them are maybe hot-tempered, don't think, need to mature a little bit. Oh, look, they're all redheads. But as far as necessarily being a bad role model, I don't think they are. And a lot of the reason why people think that some of these princesses are bad role models is because they don't match today's standard of what a woman should be. Now, of course, I'm talking about the golden age of Disney princesses. We're talking Snow White, Aurora, and Cinderella, which people think just don't have an active enough role in their own story. To which I say, I disagree. The times are just different and the medium is different. Storytelling through movies, especially animation, is a lot different today than it used to be. Today, the plot of a Disney movie is extremely fast-paced and go, go, go. The leading lady is the front and center aspect of it, and she is fighting for whatever it is that she wants, and she might end up with a guy, but certainly not after the first day. Which, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Now, not everybody agrees with me on this, but I can see a distinct difference between all of the Golden Age princesses and their personalities, because they have traits that are not only important in a person, not just a woman, but a person. They're traits that a lot of people are missing these days, and they're traits that not as many people value as they used to, but it doesn't make them any less important. Some of these traits include kindness, compassion, hard work, balancing compassion with assertiveness. And I feel like the Disney princesses do a fantastic job of showing the different ways that both compassion and kindness can be in your personality, how they can be traits that you can strive for. If you would like to know some of the traits that I see in these different women that are very different, here are some examples. I could not picture Cinderella going into the cottage of the seven dwarfs and instantly being so welcomed and so warm to those men who desperately needed it. I couldn't see Snow White having the common sense or the problem-solving skills to ask for help. An important trait to have in life is to know when to do something yourself and when to ask for help. And Snow White being a 14-year-old girl, I just don't think that she would have the sense enough to know that the dog was her best help at that time. Now, taking Cinderella and Snow White, I don't think that either one of them had the diplomatic potential that Aurora had. And some might say that her being a good queen is quite the assumption, but here you have a woman who has had a life that is just completely dull, just completely dull, and she sees an opportunity for what she thinks could be happiness. And even after finding out that her entire life had been a lie, she still denies herself that one bit of happiness so that she can do the best that she can for her country that she just learned that she was a diplomat of. I don't really see Snow White or Cinderella having that kind of leadership ability. These women are all incredible in different ways. They all represent the same traits, sure, like I mentioned before, the kindness, the compassion, the hard work ethic, and the assertiveness. But they all express it in different ways, which is something that I find so impressive. Again, a quirky leading lady is funny, but not everybody is quirky. Some people are more subdued, but not quite as rigid as Elsa. There's a vast array of different personalities, and Disney is doing a fantastic job of getting to all of the personalities. They're doing a great job. And yes, Disney needs some diversity, which they have been working on. But just because the first few leading ladies aren't so diverse, that does not make them inherently worse. Just because they're more passive doesn't make them worse. The difference between the movies made back then and the movies made today is that at that time, women, their best hope to get away from their stressful families, to get away from the unfortunate situation, to get away from whatever burdened them, their best bet was to get married. And in the time we live in, because so many women have paved the way and worked hard, that is no longer the truth for us. There are infinite amount of possibilities that don't necessarily involve a husband and children. But at that time that these movies were made, that was the norm, and for many people that was the only way out of their situation. None of them took their situation lying down. Snow White, she put effort and work into keeping her room and board. She might have run away scared from the huntsman, but who wouldn't have? She was a child. Now, I can't justify why they made her a 14-year-old girl. That's a little weird. Cinderella. Yes, she was a servant made by her own family. Yes, she was abused. But she pushed back every way that she could. She was a very strong woman, and she was a very assertive woman. And truth be told, probably a little harsher around the edges than Snow White, who was also abused in her home. That Aurora, she didn't fight back against her situation. She went towards it, trying to be the best princess she could be. I thought that all of the ways that the women handled their own situation was surprisingly inspiring. Instead of feeling weak for being upset, have your moment of sadness, but then continue to work. Continue to work forward to getting what you want. Is it so bad that what they wanted was a prince to take them away from their situation? Today, possibly. But again, these movies were made in a different time. And in regards to them being made in a different time, it was a different medium. Instead of the movies being character driven like they are today, they were more visually driven. Like, what could line up to make the most entertaining scene? And as far as that goes, whether they were asleep during their scene or not, it was an extremely entertaining situation. Like, I remember being so creeped out about Sleeping Beauty. That was a very creepy scene altogether. And the Snow White imagery that I've seen 100 times is so beautiful. These movies are really works of art. And to be compared to one of the princesses, or to say that one of these princesses is your favorite, is not a bad thing. Thank you guys so much for joining me for this discussion of the first Disney princesses. If you would like to have more discussions on Disney and any other movie or pop culture related thing, definitely subscribe to this channel. So I will see you guys later. Bye. One last thing. I know that these movies have arguably some of the best villains Disney has to offer. But the reason why I didn't discuss any of these villains during the movie was because, with the exception of the abuse that was inflicted upon the princesses, the villains really have nothing to do with how valuable the princess herself is.